Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze is sponsored by Dork Publishing, expanding minds through fantasy since 2018. Learn more at the Dork Publishing website, www.dorcpublishing.com.
I wanna visit all the places nobody goes. I wanna teach all the things that nobody knows. I wanna grow wings, leave the coop, learn to fly. Bungee jump from the tallest building in Dubai. I wanna fly around town in my UFO. I wanna eat real food, not the GMOs. I wanna make moves, call the shots like the boss. I wanna love like I never lost.
Welcome back to Desertwood Days. Our next guest, she's an author. She's a social entrepreneur, and she does so much in our community for her friends and her family. Let's welcome Mrs. Analyn Brown. Hello, hello. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
It's been a while.
It has. And just so you'll still be on good terms with Raymond, Analyn Brown-Scott.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Raymond. Just left a husband now.
I know.
Analyn Brown-Scott, she is. And we're going to talk more about Raymond a little bit later, but I want to start off talking about Miss Analyn first, okay?
All right.
So, Analyn, are you a native of Arizona?
You know what? I am, in fact, fifth generation native Arizona.
Oh, woo, yes.
We do exist.
Yeah.
And you're native Arizona too,
I
aren't you?
am. Wow, that's awesome. So, you tell me a little bit about the young Analyn. Tell us about you.
Oh, my goodness. So obviously, grew up out here in the valley, grew up in Tempe. And I think even from a young age, I always knew that I wanted to be a businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
Always had a heart for people. In fact, at one point, I thought I was going to be a civil rights attorney.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
And then I think that's going to be a lot of reading, a lot of school. And
A lot of work.
A lot of work. And I thought, I can still make an impact in different ways.
Yes.
Without having to go down that path.
Yes. And so when did you meet Mr. Scott?
25 years ago, we actually met on a blind date.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Here in Arizona?
Here in Arizona. A friend connected us, and he had to drive clear across town to come meet me, and he had never been on a blind date before. He wasn't really sure what to expect. We had spoken on the phone once, but his instinct, he was thinking he was actually going to turn back around.
Oh.
And he stopped at the gas station near my house and said a prayer. And he just said, you know what, God, I've been doing this on my own, and I haven't been doing such a good job. So if you want me to go on this date, I'm going to put it in your hands.
Oh, wow.
And that's all she wrote.
Oh,
or all he wrote, really, is what I should
yes.
say, because,
Yes.
God definitely had his hand in
And my
this.
audience is probably asking, what is she asking her about this Raymond guy? Well, because this Raymond guy has a big part in this story here we're going to talk about today. That's why.
Mhm.
So, Analyn, you and Raymond got married, had children, and some things happened that changed in your life.
Yeah, and actually things changed really suddenly, even after just meeting.
Mm.
So we had only been dating for 3 months when his kidneys failed unexpectedly.
Wow.
He was 29, I was just 23.
Oh, my goodness.
And so coming up this coming February will be 25 years of a celebration of life since his kidneys failed.
Wow.
And
Yes,
it's
thank God.
thank God indeed.
Mm.
We didn't know what to expect. This was, out of the blue for him, for both of us. And to really give him credit, he was didn't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
And he, I picked him up from the hospital a week after his kidneys failed, taking him back to his apartment, and I said, I think I'm going to move back to Charleston, South
Mm-hmm.
Carolina. That's where he's from.
Uh-huh.
And I said, why? And he said, well, I know I have a long road ahead of me, and you're too young. This isn't fair to you.
Oh.
And I looked at him, I said, you're a good man. You're not going anywhere. And he said, I hoped that you would say that, but I had to give you an out.
Right.
And here we are, nearly
Oh.
25 years later.
Oh my God, he's such a good person.
He is.
Yeah.
He really, and you know that. You've met him several times, so
Yes.
you could just tell even, right away, he's got a good spirit, good soul. And it didn't hurt that his kidneys failed a week after Valentine's Day, and he had just made London broil candied yams,
Oh my
homemade
goodness.
macaroni and cheese, and collard greens.
Oh my goodness. He
That's what I
cooked a
said.
great meal.
Yes, well, I already knew he was a good man, but I was like, he can cook too, because that is not one of my talents.
So I mean, his life is all public, so we're not
Right.
sharing anything that he wouldn't tell. So, what was it? His kidneys, was it due to diabetes or another illness or
High blood pressure.
high blood pressure?
And
You know what? And that's something we don't really think about. High blood pressure damages the kidneys also. We relate it to diabetes, but we never think about high blood pressure.
right, and we really should, because the kidneys and high blood pressure and heart, and it's
Mhm.
all interconnected.
Right.
And we weren't even aware. Not only then, not just then, but not for years later. We didn't know that diabetes and high blood pressure are the two leading causes of kidney disease.
Yes.
Based on, I would say about 75% of the people with kidney disease or kidney failure, it's
Mhm.
because of one
Or the other.
or both.
Right. I knew about diabetes, but I didn't know about the high blood pressure thing. Wow. And that is why, as entertainers, artists, we're so busy running around doing things, and a lot of times we're not paying attention to our bodies. And one of the thing is knowing if you're going to the bathroom too much. I mean, if there's blood in your urine or things like that, we need to make sure that we're paying attention to our body. And a lot of times we're not, because we're so busy running around. And we think, well, you know what, maybe this is normal because I did have a lot of coffee today, or I did have a lot of this.
Right.
So that is an important thing. And that's why I love, even though Raymond and your family had to go through this, but you guys are also advocating and teaching people about this disease and what can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you started an organization, and tell us about your organization.
Yeah, so we started 1 in 9. Actually, it was really birthed in 2015.
Oh.
We became a 501c3 in 2017. And 1 in 9 comes from the statistic at the time that 26 million Americans, or 1 in 9 adults, had kidney disease, yet 90% didn't know it. And that really blew me away. And as we started hearing some of these statistics, I'm looking around saying, this is unacceptable. Raymond was part of that 90% when he literally crashed into dialysis, not knowing that he had kidney disease.
But you're right, because a lot of times when you hear about it, it's when they're failed, or
Yes.
it's close to failing. And why is that? What are the symptoms or the signs that people should look for?
And I think it's a very silent disease. So I think it's silent in the community. A lot of people don't speak about it. It's silent symptom wise. And so I think that a lot of people, you're not getting the signs and symptoms until you're closer to kidney failure. So there's 5 stages of kidney disease. With early detection, there's things you can still do. Once you get to stage 5, that's kidney failure, where you either need to have dialysis or a kidney transplant to survive. And unfortunately, we're still seeing far too many people that are finding out about it at stage 4 or 5, maybe because, again, they're not having the symptoms. Number 2, they may not be going to the doctor regularly. They don't, because a lot of people also don't know their risk factors, so they may not know to ask, hey, can you just do a baseline on my kidneys? Let me see what's going on. And doctors aren't pointing it out too. I have to be very clear about that as well.
But statistically, the higher ranges are in people of color or minorities that have high blood pressure or have diabetes. So they know about those. We know about those diseases, okay? Because I tell you, probably 80 or 90% of our family members have those diseases. So we know about it. Is the thing of not having the medical care, or not paying attention to your body, not going to the doctor, as you were stating, is out there. But then it's on the other side, the medical side, they're not spreading that knowledge also. But I think they're getting better with it nowadays.
I think so in a lot of cases. And I think the public is starting to demand that. We're asking more questions. We have, and that's important, that we have to be empowered and be our own biggest advocates. And there's a big difference when you go into the doctor's office and you're asking questions.
Right.
They're going to sit up and they're going to say, okay, this person's paying attention to their health. And then it's going to cause them to maybe not rush through the appointment, but look at those numbers a little bit closer.
And that's why we're thankful for organizations like yours, Because, a lot of times we're saying they. We're dependent on the government or people to tell us what to do or how to do it or what to do or what needs. But we need smaller organizations in our communities that are helping us with these things and sharing this knowledge that they may have acquired for this information. So it is a blessing to have people like you in our communities that have experienced this, who knows what's going on, who may know the laws, the health, and everything else that goes along with it. Would you say?
I yeah, absolutely agree. We wish that there would have been an organization like ours 25 plus years ago. We can't go back and change time.
Right.
But what we can do is help others. We can share the knowledge that we have learned over the years to help people keep their kidneys, to protect their kidneys. Now we can help them change the trajectory of kidney disease, not only in their own life, with their families, with their communities. And so with that, and you've heard this, Raymond has said it many times, publicly, privately. He knows that, this is part of God's purpose for him, and that if he can make a difference in the lives of others, it made it worth it. He'd be willing to go back and do it all over again. As difficult as this road has been, he does see the purpose behind it. So I give him a lot of credit for that.
And that is true.
So good to be here with you.
You know what I thought about it? I said Analyn Scott. Analyn Brown-Scott.
Yep, but Analyn Scott.
Okay.
I know, because on Facebook, it's, you get the whole thing.
Yes.
Those are hyphenated names to be throwing me off. I better not get married and try to use a hyphenated name. I'll forget my own name.
Well, thank you for being here today, sharing this, Analyn, because, there's so many people that go through things in silence. And as a person, my mom is a diabetic, and I've been working with her on, extending her life and being healthy and just making sure she's taking care of herself. So you know what? We all need a little encouragement sometime, no matter who we are. And that is what you're doing. You're encouraging people to take control of their lives. You and Raymond are. I mean, do the best you can. And there's someone out there that's here to help you. And that's what you guys are doing in our community. So we were talking about your organization that you started. And I know you brought some media. I'd like to go into that and take a look at that. Okay.
26 million Americans, that's 1 in 9 adults, have kidney disease, and 90% don't even know it. It is responsible for more deaths each year than breast cancer or prostate cancer. We not giving up. We gon' win.
My mind started racing. Raymond was even more of a survivor than I thought. Raymond was part of that 90% that didn't know. How many people could have been saved if they only had a greater awareness, and more could be done from a prevention standpoint? How many more people will die if a change is not made? It is time. The status quo must change.
Kidney disease and heart disease and diabetes almost create what's called a triple threat. We're really talking about identifying those disease states too, and those problems in patients too.
If you think about the scenarios of, what we deal with, if you think about, or as a tribe, we're a unit, we're all together in one. Another thing is, I didn't know diabetes was a #1 cause of kidney disease.
We see so many patients coming to us who have no clue that they've had any kidney disease, and yet when you look back in the record, there have been indications of it for many, many years often now.
When I started getting calls for kidney disease, most of them were at stage 4 and stage 5. And it was a very similar story in that they never knew really when they were at stage 1, 2, 3. It was just like all of a sudden they find this out.
We not giving up. We gon' win.
I truly believe this is a major missing link in the fight against kidney disease, and we have an obligation to pay Grandma's gift forward to positively impact and save even more lives.
I'm so happy I met Hans, not only for my own help, but because I think we're able to make a big difference in a lot of people's lives now.
And if my journey can help others, and as God destined as my purpose in life, then I would be willing to go back and do it all over again.
We not giving up. We gon' win. We are warriors, champions. We We not giving up, we gon' win. We are warriors, champions.
Wow, that is amazing.
Thank you.
It is. You know what, Raymond, he is such a strong man. I mean, and you are such a strong woman. You've been there advocating for him and your family. You've gone through this for 20-something years. Hey, he's gone through this for 20-something years. So you guys have a lot of knowledge to share. And I was listening to one of the doctors saying that people that have would come to them and say that they didn't know that they had kidney problems, and they said that it's been there for a while. So how is that possible? Do they not understand? Are they not getting that information? You know, you go to a doctor, you have your test results done, and they call you, your tests are normal, or they leave a message. I mean, how are these patients not knowing that there was an issue?
Well, I kind of stumbled across this myself when I was, I'm the healthy one, right? But I had a few health challenges, and so when I got my blood work back, they called to give me the results. I said, by the way, can you just tell me what my GFR is? The glomerular filtration rate. That's one of the kidney functions.
Oh,
It tells you how well your kidneys are filtering, right?
Uh-huh.
And so they said, oh, it's a good range. And I said, okay, what is what is it?
Right.
Because I know the target is about 100.
Uh-huh.
You want it to be about 100. And they said, well, it's above 60. And I said, it better be above 60. That caused me to take a closer look. So when you get your blood work back, oftentimes you might do like the comprehensive metabolic panel, right? So you're looking at your A1C, you're looking at your cholesterol, you're looking at all these things. GFR is typically there. And on there, the range says greater than or equal to 60. And I thought, that's really interesting. Why doesn't it say 100?
Right.
So, and on our website, we've got some other resources too that people can take to their doctor or just have to see the different stages of kidney disease. Now, GFR can fluctuate, and it's not the only reading. But technically, once you go below 60, you could be at stage 3 kidney disease. So what
causes it to fluctuate?
There can be different issues in your health, maybe different challenges that are happening. You could maybe be dehydrated, and that could cause some issues. But oftentimes, people, if you have any other risk factors, I always say, check your GFR, look at your creatinine. People also want to look to see if they have protein leaking into their urine. That's a sign of kidney damage or kidney problems as well. I should also point out, we're seeing a lot of acute kidney injuries because of COVID. So that's something else to be very mindful of. I would encourage people, especially if they have other risk factors and if they've had COVID, to just go get another baseline, look at where they're at, because I have talked to some people whose kidney function was at 100, everything else was fine, and then after COVID, and they were pretty mild with COVID, weren't hospitalized or anything, but then they went back and their kidney function had changed, had decreased considerably. So nothing to be frightened of, but again, being our own biggest advocates, be aware of those numbers. So to answer your question, once I figured that out, that was a huge aha for me. It was like, oh my goodness, if that's on the range, then probably a lot of nurses and doctors aren't really thinking about it to pinpoint and point out to someone. And then we're not really thinking because it's like, oh, it's within this range, or the doctors aren't pointing it out to me. So I think that's where we need to be mindful. And then people can also look and see. And if they're looking from appointment to appointment, they can notice, oh, wait a minute, my GFR just dropped 10 points or 15 points. What happened? And ask some questions about it.
Right. And that, another thing too, it is important to know your history also. And a lot of times people don't want to share their history. I mean, if diabetes or high blood pressure or kidney disease runs in your family, I mean, you need to share that with your doctor so that they can keep their eye on it. A lot of times, I don't want to fill out all that paperwork, but it's important. You have to know the importance of that. But you did all this, and you also authored a book, correct?
Yes.
Tell us about this. What was it that made you decide to put it all in a book?
We wanted to get not just our story, but other stories out to help to raise awareness and let people feel more comfortable about talking about it. So we co-authored, Raymond and I co-authored. In fact, our children are co-authors in the book as well, along with some other authors. 1 in 9 Tribe, Kidney Disease Warriors, Beating the Drum of Hope and Change. And that's truly what it is. So we're bringing that awareness. We're also giving that hope, so people don't have to feel alone. And that was really important to us to be able to reach people.
So what are some of the things that you guys do throughout the year to make people knowledgeable about this issue?
We're doing a lot through social media. We're doing a lot in the public as well. So in addition to the book, we did finish our documentary. So A Dance with Destiny, and we've been doing virtual screenings of that. Also in-person screenings at some churches, in different communities. And that has been very helpful to raise awareness.
Awesome.
Also doing, a walk in the park, which kidney disease clearly is not a walk in the park.
Right.
But we can get out and take some action together. Yeah. So we do that. That'll be coming up again this March for Kidney Disease Awareness Month. And doing a health screening, a free public health screening around that too. Just this past March, we were able to identify a few people there who had kidney disease that did not know. They had no clue.
Wonderful. Where can our audience find you?
So we're on Facebook, 1 in 9 Kidney Challenge, website in the same, but also we have a YouTube channel, 1 in 9, and people can go there and see some of the different videos that we've produced, but also our 1 in 9 Tribe podcast. Because what we learned is there's no way that we could put everything into a book or into a documentary.
For sure.
And that's why the podcast will allow us to continue sharing stories, continue to share information with the public that we serve.
I'm sure you're continuously learning more about this also.
Absolutely. Every day.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us today. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure. And thank you for joining us here today at Desertwood Days, and we'll catch you next time.
Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze was sponsored by Dork Publishing. Visit them at dorkpublishing.com.